own stuff, I'm not really pursuing that anymore.
Do you kind of like then shifting to more podcasts and the other kind of stuff?
Yeah, I kind of realized that that's why I just kind of realized that it's just kind of unfulfilling, you know? As you may, or as you probably, well, as you've mentioned several times, I mean, I've always had the hot takes, and I've always wanted to, kind of do this, but I've been too scared to, because you never know how it's going to be received, right?
Yeah, for sure. Putting yourself out into the public view can be intimidating because the internet's ruthless.
And I don't even really care about the internet. It's more people that like I know.
That's fair.
Because now, now I don't care, and I'm just, I'm saying whatever. But before, it's like I'm too scared to like really express the taboo, my views on the taboo topics, because then the people in my immediate circles will then, because you always have people come up to you and be like, dude, I watched your podcast. Dude, I listened to it. Dude, I heard you say like this or that. And I'm like, and it is just kind of awkward to like confront it in person. You're like, yep, I said that.
That's so fair.
But now I just don't care. And I'm like, dude, I just want it recorded. If for nothing else, like just for myself. It's almost like a journal in a way.
Yeah. Really powerful being able to look back on the thoughts that you've had. I know that's why the church encourages us to take a journal or have a journal, something I could be way better at. When I look back through like my MLC notes or...
Did you journal?
Not consistently. I was really good at keeping a spiritual journal. So as I was like reading the Book of Mormon, I stopped every 5 verses and I'd write what impressed me. And so it's really fascinating to go back and read that and see what my state of mind was, like what things in the verses would stick out to me.
5 verses?
Yeah. It took me a year.
Like that's not just like an approximation. Like you're like every 5 verses, I'm just going to stop and take a note.
Max 7. If there was like the 5th verse that it landed on was just something outrageous, like and my father dwelt in a tent, then it'd just be like, okay, maybe I'll look at the verse before and I'll look at the verse after. And if I still can't find anything, then I'll go one more before or one after.
Okay.
And if I still can't find anything, then I go back to verse 5 and I look at it. So I don't think I ever really had a gap.
So that's like you took notes, but like as far as a journal goes,
as far as a journal,
this is what we did today.
As far as a journal goes, it didn't make it past Fenton.
Are you saying you kept a journal here and then and then it just fizzled out after Fenton, or
probably for a couple of days, but it didn't make it very far.
I feel like your emails home are kind of like that.
I didn't do that either though.
Really?
I wrote like probably 3 emails home in my last year.
I saved them all.
Carter you saved?
I can tell you how many.
He saved them all 3.
Why does it delete them?
Did you? Oh yeah. I am interested to know how many. Do you like keep them in a collection?
They're just in my email. I've seen 1 so far.
It wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, I was actually the same way. I mean, did the mission president was he unhappy about that?
He honestly didn't ask, and
because like you have to email your mission president every week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just like I would hardly even do that. It was hard to write home. It was hard to write home every week because there's a lot of areas where I just was like, dude, it's just the same stuff. Yeah, you want to know what I did this week? Read my last email.
Right.
And you'll know.
The time that it really made a difference, I don't know if you know this, but when I was in Maryland Heights, and I were made companions, and then has like a cyst that explodes basically. And so after a week, before that, we whitewashed as the social media leaders. The 2 old social media leaders sit down for like 10 minutes and they're like, this is what the referral manager is. This is what this is. And then they're like, good luck basically. And they drive away. So are like a week into trying to figure out how we're going to be the social media leaders. Gets this cyst and he goes home, and President Beecher calls me and is like, I don't want to close your area, so I'm going to give you a trainee, and I need you to be the social media leader by yourself and train a new missionary right after you whitewashed. And so I'd been in the area for about 6 weeks. I just had two companions in a row go home. And like at that point in my mission, being able to write to President Beecher and being like, I need to know like how I'm supposed to do this, was a huge blessing for me, because he let me have the reins a lot more, being the social media leader. It was like, well, if you want to do this, like if you'll put in the extra effort, then like, that's totally fine. I'm not going to make you. And that was really powerful for me, because it taught me even now later that the gospel, everything, it's like, as we focus on the things that we can do and then find little ways that we can give a little bit more, that's when we'll find that like we won't get burned out, because we're focusing on the things that we can do and then just try to get a little bit better. And so even though I'm asked to be the social media leader for the whole mission and I have zero training, it's like I can cubbyhole it and be like, I can do these things. And so I'll do those things, and then I'll be like, I can be a little bit better this next week at this. And then that's what I do.
So, well, a few things really quick. Well, I just want to quickly just mention that, like, I wanted you on the show because you just finished your mission. So you're like, I mean, not only are you a returned missionary, you're not even returned yet. We're still out here. This is where you served. Your family came out to visit, and you guys are all going to tour the mission and then go back home all together. Some missionaries do that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's common, but
It happens.
But that's what you're doing. So you're out here. I mean, you literally haven't been home yet, but right. You're not a missionary anymore, technically. So I did, like I said, I wanted to get missionaries on here, but I feel better about having them, having a return missionary that isn't actually, under the church anymore. Right.
Yeah. Once, whatever I say that falls squarely on my shoulders now and not the church. So if I say
that being said, outrageous, we have to, it's probably a good idea to keep names to a minimum. I mean, I can just bleep stuff out, but if we can try to avoid.
Okay.
First names are fine, but did we ever get a head count on those emails home?
I have one from February of 24.
Yikes.
One from February. Yikes. One from February 24.
This year, October.
And then this year of October.
And the first line of one of them is, "Hey y'all, it's been a while." So.
Have you seen Dances with Wolves?
Hey y'all, it's been a while. I haven't seen that.
Really? There's this cart driver guy, and he makes a joke where they arrive at their spot that they're going to stay for the night, and there's this stagecoach that's crashed, and there's a dead guy sitting outside, and he looks at the guy that's traveling with him and is like, I bet his family back home is like, I wish he would write, but he's dead, so he's not writing, not knowing that he's dead. And so I was like, everybody that's like, my mom would be like, you should write an email home. And I'd be like, did you tell them all that I died? Because they're not going to hear from me. And she'd be like, that's not funny. Like, you need to write home.
I guess that's true. I guess that's not so heinous when I remember that, like, you guys can just like talk to anybody every week. Like,
right.
Because we couldn't do that, but at least we weren't supposed to.
Yeah. I'm like FaceTiming my family like every week. So they know I'm perfectly fine. It's like my cousin that's just like, oh, I haven't heard from him.
Oh,
in like
yeah, dude.
18 months.
If I was, if I could do that, like, I would never write. I would write no emails home. Like, no way. So I kind of asked you this before, but like, how do you feel right now? Are you just like, how do you feel about going home? Like, you're ready to go home? On a scale of 1 to 10, how eager are you to actually be back at your home?
Yeah, not to have this be like my confession time, but one of my motivating reasons for going on my mission.
This is your confession time.
The best way that I can describe it is I didn't want to grow up. I had gone like I had worked for like 8 months, but even after working for 8 months, I'm now considering big decisions like, what do I want my career to be?
Dude,
like,
you're an adult now.
right. I know, the ripe old age of 22 years old, but
Are you 22?
yeah, I'm a
Okay.
lot older than a lot of missionaries.
Yeah, that's. You say that like you say you joke about the ripe old age of 20. You're already older than most
Right,
return missionaries.
Grandpa over here. But that wasn't like the only motivating factor, but that was definitely something that weighed on my mind. Was like, I can keep doing the job that I'm doing and I'm not liking it. Like, it's really hard. Like, I'm working 7/12s. I'm not doing anything to feed myself spiritually. So that part of me has suffered like a lot. And then physically, like, I'm going to work. But it's like, that's draining. I'm working night shift. I'm working 7/12s. I get 1 day off every month. And that 1 day off, I'll like stare at the ceiling for a couple hours to like try and regain my sanity. And then I'll play video games, which just sucks my soul out. And so even in other aspects, right, if I'm intellectually drained because all I do is work night shift, that's really hard for me to then like keep progressing. And so when I got to that point in my life, it was like, I either just make decisions now and I grow up and I be like, this is my career and I'm going to commit to this for the rest of my life, or I can kind of escape that decision for 2 more years. And while I thought I was escaping that decision of like growing up for 2 more years, I think I grew up more in those 2 years than I did the rest of my life combined.
Are you serious? In an attempt to not grow up,
Yeah.
you decided serving a mission was going to keep you a child.
Yeah. Well, I already told you
That's a crazy take, Clancy.
Yeah, that is. I've already told you one of the best kept secrets of the church is how hard missions actually are. And that's like, I say that with like reverence. That's 100% a good thing.
Right.
Because one of the phrases that really stood out to me while I was on my mission is, you carve out of today, or you carve out of tomorrow what you want from today. You carve out of today for what you want from tomorrow, or something like that. So I worked really hard today for what I want tomorrow. So I guess it would be, I carve out of today what I want from tomorrow. And so if I want to be unfulfilled and if I want to just be miserable, it's like I can keep doing those things and tomorrow I'll be miserable. But if today I focus on the things that are important and I make sure that I'm taking care of myself, then tomorrow will be better. And that might not even mean that I'm going to do easy things. Like on my mission, like I really am not a huge like outgoing talky person. And so talking to everybody is not the easiest thing for me to do. And even when I'd buckle down and be like, today I'm going to talk to everybody, as I made sure that I was taking care of myself and that I'm like taking care of myself spiritually, like I'm reading my scriptures and I'm focusing on Jesus Christ, and I'll do hard things, but they're easier for me to do. And that's kind of the trick behind the gospel, really, that I've realized is we focus on little small things in the gospel, like saying our prayers and reading our scriptures. The big steps in the gospel become easier for us to do. Then it's not this huge ask for us to live the word of wisdom or sacrifice our X amount of time to go to the temple. But instead, I've been preparing to make that decision as I'm saying my prayers and as I'm reading my scriptures every day.
Right. Yeah. So what was like the point where it kind of, I don't know. I don't even know how to ask this question. Like, cause let me reevaluate. So why did you serve a mission? You've mentioned already that you're like, this was just to kind of keep the adult life away for a couple more years. As far as like spiritually or according to your testimony, like how eager were you to serve a mission in that regard? Like, were you like, dude, I can't wait to go out and preach the gospel to people? Like, I feel like most missionaries don't start out that way.
Yeah, I would totally fall into that category. I like to describe it as I checkmated myself, and I told everybody when I was growing up, again, as an effort to escape this question of like, what do I want to do when I grow up and what I want to do as an adult. I would just tell people I'd go on a mission, and then that would like stop the conversation, because it's like, well, I've got to finish that, and then I'll focus on like where I'm going to go to school or what I'm going to do for work. And then I had a youth leader that also talked about his mission as just being the greatest experience of his life. And he would just talk about like how he had been home from his mission for years and would still have dreams about how he was on his mission and how he missed that. But he had like new things to focus on now. He had a family, he had kids, that kind of stuff. And so after working for like 8 months and just feeling in a really trapped place, there's only so many places that I can go. And if I've already told everybody that I'm going to do this, it's worth a shot. And so when I get here on the mission field, like I have a journal entry somewhere around day 4 where I don't have the guts to basically say in my journal that I want to go home. But if you can read between the lines, it says I want to go home. And it's something to the
Is that in the MTC or is that like in the field?
That's in the field. So I just got my new companion, my trainer. And I'm basically like, I don't like missionary work. I don't think I can do this for very long, but I do like personal study, trying to look for things that are good. Mm-hmm. There's a line in Preach My Gospel that says, as your testimony of Jesus Christ and his gospel grows, so will your desire to share it, or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. And so that line in Preach My Gospel is like my saving grace, because as my testimony of Jesus Christ and his gospel grew, so did my desire to share it.
Dude, which is true about everything, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that's what I tell people about. That was like a big thing that changed for me when I was a missionary, is like, I just realized that it's funny because you're like, oh, it says in Preach My Gospel that the more that you know about the gospel, like the more you're going to want to share it. And it's like, dude, that's literally the same for anything that you learn. It's like, what do people talk about? When you go talk to people, what do you talk about? You talk about the stuff you know.
Yeah.
You talk about the stuff that you're either watching or that you're doing or that you saw or did. Like, so if you and that's like, that was a big problem for me growing up, is like, you know, preach the gospel. Gospel's most important thing in your life. But it's like nobody's talking about it like that. It's like we talk about it at church maybe, but I'm not talking about it like it's a hobby of mine or
right.
But if you're not, then is it really the most important thing? Is it, do you really even know about it? Like that's the thing. The more that because everybody has their expertise. Everybody has their thing in their life where they're like, dude, I could tell you anything about building a car.
Right.
I could tell you anything about sewing or, anything. People have their expertise. And I just realized as a missionary, I was like, dude, that's gotta be mine. If I'm going to go door to door and tell people that, this is the most important thing to me, but then I don't treat it that way. I don't talk about it that way. I talk about it like it's something I have to do for 2 years or get to do for 2 years, but it's a 2-year thing and it's going to be great during the 2 years. But as soon as it's over, like, I'm just going to go back to doing what I like to do. And I'm like, it needs to be, I gotta determine whether this is something that I enjoy. Actually, if this is actually important to me, and because it should extend beyond the mission. Anyway, my question from earlier is kind of along those same lines. What was your turning point there? Like, when were you like, okay, I get it now?
Yeah. I think there was a lot of things that built up to this. And so, like, I had companions. I had good companions until I got to this point. But when I got to my third area, so it was right after I left here, when I got to my third area, I was asked.
This was your second area?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I got to my third area, I was asked to be a zone leader so I could focus more on other missionaries and not so much on myself. And then I also had a super awesome companion that was really good at looking out at people and trying to love the people that were around him. And the area that I was in was just missionary lingo, right? Is that it's like elect, but there's just a lot of people there that were prepared to receive the gospel. And so it's like a fire and a desire to share the gospel entered me when I realized that there was people there that their lives would be changed because I could share the gospel with them. That's when I go to somebody's house and I'm talking to them about something, when I'm talking to them about prophets or the Book of Mormon, I can feel like light entering my eyes when I'm talking about these things, and I'm actually excited. Like when I want to talk about it, I can tell I just look different. Like I'm smiling because it's something that it's really important to me. And so I think it was a combination of a couple of things. But I got to see how I had been so blessed by living the gospel when I'm going to an area where there's a lot of people that don't live the gospel. And when they have like cultural walls or barriers that are keeping them from living certain parts of the gospel, and that's like causing them misery and suffering, and then seeing like directly how the gospel fixes those things. Like an example that was always really prominent to me is like the strength of a family unit. If you have a family unit that can stick together, and I know that not every family is going to be perfect and be this like cookie cutter, but when you have a family that can stick together, it's the most likely for us to be able to find like happiness and success. And I've reaped so many blessings because of that, because of my family sticking together and my parents like leading a good example and teaching me how to do things. And so now when I'm watching other people that are suffering from the opposite side of the spectrum, not having a family that supports them, it breaks my heart. And so now it's like, I'm going to leave the apartment at 10 o'clock because there's people out there that need me. And I'm not going to get home until 10:15 at night because I can't leave to whatever else I'm doing until I'm like, it's going to be, I need to break the rules to like stay out longer, and I don't want to break the rules. So I'll drive home after 9 o'clock because I'll get back to the apartment at 9:15 and I'll just be beat, and I'll like get ready for bed basically. And then I'll crash and I'll go to bed.
Right.
And then the next morning I'll wake up and I just can't wait to get out the door at 10 o'clock again.
So that happened about halfway through.
That was at like 6 months.
6 months. Okay. Quarter way through.
And the thing that is like the most interesting, I think, to me is as soon as you get to that point as a missionary, there's going to be something that happens that tries to pull you off of that point. So I stayed in that area for 3 transfers, and I had awesome companions all the way through. And then the Lord was preparing me for something that I would do later. And when I got transferred, I went to a different area, and it was like something was determined to pull me off of this. Like I need to leave the apartment at 10 o'clock and I won't get home until 9. Right. And so all of these things, now I'm in a small town and there's not as many people that I'm feeling like are prepared. And so then like focusing on myself, because I had relied a lot on like trying to help other people. That helped me feel good as if I'm helping these other missionaries. Then I get to this other area and it's like, I need to focus on me to make sure I'm in a good state of mind. So I'm praying harder than like I've ever prayed before at this point. We get back to the apartment for lunch and I just don't want to be here. So I'm going to go into my room. And as soon as I get lunch started, I'm going to go into my room and I'm going to hit my knees and I'm going to start praying because I need help to make it through the afternoon. And sometimes I do it for dinner too, because that point that I had received, it isn't like this, like, I don't know, this like level up that I've achieved as like a person. But it sounds terrible, but it was like almost a state of mind that I was in that like, I need to leave the apartment at this time. And I don't want it to be like leaving the apartment at like 10 o'clock is like the ultimate goal as like a missionary, but like desiring to share the gospel with people so bad that you can't wait to leave, maybe is a better way to put it.
Right. So here's, well, my next question is how do you feel like you were a good missionary?
If you're enjoying the Moxie Show, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, or leave a rating and review on your favorite podcasting platform and share the show with someone. Also, if you really want to support the show and get this thing off the ground, consider signing up for my Patreon, where you can receive early access to episodes, exclusive episodes with my family and close friends, and more exclusive perks. If you're listening to this, you're helping make my dream a reality. So thank you.
Yeah.
Why?
I feel like I was a good missionary for a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons that I feel like I was a good missionary is because I look back on the people that I interacted with, and I left good, positive interactions with people, right? You let me back into your house. So that's like a win for me. Right?
True. I did.
So you let me back in. So I was like, I didn't just destroy relationships with everybody that I went to. I also feel like I was a good missionary because I was able to focus on converting myself and realizing that the things that I had been taught were true, so that I can stare down somebody who has this really aggressive, not helpful opinion at all.
Wait, say that again.
I came to know, like, for myself, really, really know that the things that this gospel teaches are true. So that when somebody comes up to me with this opinion that is utterly false and really aggressive, and they're going to try to tell me that the things that I believe in are wrong, I can look them dead in the eyes and say, no, I've had an experience with the Holy Ghost that has confirmed to me that this is true. It doesn't matter what you tell me, because I know it's true. The experiences that I've had living the gospel of Jesus Christ. My favorite example is the Book of Mormon. It doesn't matter what you tell me about the Book of Mormon at this point. Like, I've received a witness from God, from the Spirit, that it is of God and that it was translated by Joseph Smith as a record for us to grow closer to Jesus Christ. If it doesn't help us grow closer to Jesus Christ, then we shouldn't have it, but it does. And so that's why we have it. So it doesn't matter what you tell me, because I know it's true. That experience that I've had will trump any opinion that anyone will ever tell me.
And you feel like that was like you feel like that is correlated with being a good missionary. Why is that?
I feel like that's correlated with being a good missionary because it helped me to be in a state where the Spirit could witness and testify and teach me. If I'm not being a good missionary, if I'm being disobedient and I'm not focusing on people, if I'm not doing my studies, the Spirit can't teach me like it can if I'm being a good missionary.
Right. So I guess let me try to rephrase this, because you say, like, the first thing you said was like, I feel like I was a good missionary because I left a positive impact on the people that I talked to, that I interacted with, as if to say that the one of the ways that you can be a good missionary in your eyes is to do that, to be a positive influence on the people that you interact with, like, regardless of the outcome or whatever it is, like, just be a positive, have positive experiences with people. So in this case, like, you gain a testimony in order to, why does that make you a good missionary? What about that is like, yeah, I have the Spirit with me, and I have my testimony now. It's rock solid. Therefore, what? Like, what do you do with that in order to be a good missionary that you did?
Like, you're asking specifically some of the things that I did that, like, helped me feel like I was a good missionary.
Yeah, like I'm curious as to, because I ask you that question and you're like, yeah, I think I was a good missionary. Here's why. And you tell me that I got a testimony. I searched, I pondered, I prayed. I'm at this point now, and I'm like, okay, why does that make a person a good missionary? What about that? What do you do with that makes you a good missionary? And then did you do that? Mm-hmm. And why is doing that something? Because I guess to add a little bit more context to the question, being a good missionary is objective, I think. You know, it's a little bit different. People measure their success and whether they were a good missionary in different ways and for different reasons. So that's kind of what I'm after here. Like, mm-hmm. Why did that come to your mind?
Mm-hmm. And this is, these two are kind of related. I'll try to work one into the other. I don't like comparing somebody being a good or a successful missionary based off of their results. Like the number of people that they baptized or the number of people that they taught.
Their results or their numbers? I think those are two different things.
That's fair. The numbers of, like, if you're using your numbers of, like, the number of people that you baptized, it's like a bragging, right? Or something like that. I don't think that qualifies you to be a good missionary. There's not a threshold of, like, if you get X number of people baptized, you're a good missionary. If you get lower than X, you weren't a good missionary.
I'll quickly make a note on that because I think that's true. And I think that just about almost every person that has served a mission will tell you that that's true and agree with you.
Right.
And yet I don't think that it's treated that way.
That's fair.
I think that missionaries and even return missionaries still, like, there's still this, like, stigma that's like, I baptize a lot of people. And mm-hmm. I think that's exists. But
Yeah.
Just a note.
And then to kind of continue on with that thought, one of my pet peeves when it comes to missionary work is missionaries that get like overly afraid about going home, because they'll get in this mindset that like everything ends. Like my mission, it's gone. All these people that I talked to, they're gone. Like all the good work that I did, it's gone. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're really, really, really focused on yourself and just these things that like, oh, I'm not going to have these experiences anymore. I'm not going to be able to do this. And so that's my pet peeve, because if you look at your mission as only God preparing you to teach the gospel, then you missed a whole bunch of what God was actually trying to teach you. I kind of mentioned it earlier before, like my mission is like my 2-year escape of becoming an adult. And I became way more of an adult on my mission than I ever would have been without it. And so God wasn't just teaching me how to be a missionary, but he was teaching me how to be like a Christ-like disciple, someone who could follow him after my mission. And so I feel like I was a successful missionary because it gave me skills and talents that will bless me for the rest of my life. Daily scripture study, knowing how to say fervent prayers, understanding the gospel and how that applies to me in my life or the people that are around me. Now I can take that with me for the rest of my life, so that it's not just like I went on my mission and then I lose the testimony that I had. I lose that witness that I had of those things, because it's fine and dandy for you to have like a good, strong mission experience. But if it's not going to carry you through the rest of your life, when you one day will stand before God, then it's not going to be that determining factor that like pushes you over the edge, like how many people you got baptized.
Right. What else? Anything else that you're like, this, I was a good missionary because I did this or because I felt this?
Yeah, I think one other thing that really determines a good missionary is how willing you are to improve and to change. There's a talk given by like Elder Lawrence Carr or something in the 70s. It was a while ago, but the talk's called What Lack I Yet? And the talk is really good because it basically outlines that like if you ask the Holy Ghost and if you seek his guidance, the Lord will constantly be teaching you things that you can do a little bit better. And so another one of my missionary pet peeves is missionaries that get to a certain point in their mission and they coast to the end of their mission, or they get kind of defensive and up in their pride. They're like, I've been out for 18 months. I know everything that I need to know. And it's a mindset that like I myself maybe fell into it at a time or a point, but I really wanted to focus on that. Like I'm teachable for these whole 2 years. It doesn't matter how long I've been out. And so just being humble on your mission, being willing to change and try to grow is something that I can still focus on and I could still do better at. But it's going to be really hard for you to be a successful missionary if all you can do is just like focus on yourself and you can't be taught.
Mm. How long have you guys, you two, how long have you spent time together? Like as of, how long has it been since you've been reunited?
Not even a week yet. Today's Monday, Sunday, Saturday, Friday, Thursday.
6 days. So it's been like 5 for you. Did you guys keep in close contact on your mission?
It was tricky because I worked a swing shift, so I worked days and nights, and so there's sometimes that when he would be calling back home that I would be on shift. So there was a couple, I would say probably at least once a month.
At least once or twice.
So once a month you guys would talk on like FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it was also either was driving back to Montana or to North Dakota.
Okay.
So I traveled back and forth a lot.
Do you feel like you guys like are strangers now, or is it like you never left?
I think the funny thing, especially about our relationship, is the longer that we're together and the closer we are, the more we fight. And so
we definitely always did clash as the two oldest, but I'll say for myself, it was more of like somebody that I didn't know. It was almost like a new personality, I guess.
Yeah.
When we picked him up, it was different for sure.
Yeah, I think that's common. Do you feel that way? Are you like, do you hear that and you're just like, do you hear that he...
Does that surprise you?
it strokes my pride maybe a little bit to be like, yes, I did get better, right?
Well,
And
I don't think he used the word better.
Right.
So I was actually going to elaborate a little bit. Definitely within the first 2 days, 2 or 3 days, I noticed a large difference in maturity, but as well as, like you're trying to skip your route to adulthood by adding 2 years. Well, it didn't work. But also,
You're not goofy anymore.
there was definitely a big jump in kindness and compassion. And that is more noticeable coming from a younger brother to an older brother.
Wow.
Because, your older brothers are the ones that always pick on you, right?
Right.
There was a big jump in the kindness and compassion in his personality.
Wow.
Just
In
that
6 days, a noticeable change in kindness and compassion. 5 days.
Right. That's what. Oh, I did say it strokes my pride.
That was within the first 2. I could tell that.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. So I mean, I like to give people, I like to let this podcast kind of be a platform for people to actually, before we get there, what do you have to tell people that are going on a mission? Perhaps there are people listening that are preparing to go on a mission. What do they need to know?
I'm going to come off really strong here because that's kind of the way that I think. And I'm really bold with myself. And so the first thing is I'll reference back to that quote that I talked about in Preach My Gospel. Right next to that in my notes, the one where it talks about as your testimony of Jesus Christ and his gospel grows, so your desire to share the gospel. Mm-hmm. What I wrote in my notes right next to that is being a missionary, or not wanting to be a missionary, more precisely, is a testimony issue. And so if you do not want to be a missionary, focus on your testimony. Don't look at other people. Don't look at your companion. Don't look at the area. Focus on yourself. And if you fix your testimony, the witness of Jesus Christ and his gospel will come, and so will the joy that comes from sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. And so that's one of the number one things. And to kind of clarify or add on to that as well, I think we as people sometimes are really bad at asking questions. And to elaborate this, I had a companion that was struggling and that wasn't doing super good. And so I really feel like there's, and don't get me wrong, there's people that do need to go home and they do need to serve service missions. Like there's people that have those problems.
Right.
But I feel like there are people that if they had asked better questions to the Lord in their prayers, that they could have received answers that would have given them like strength to continue on with their mission. So for an example, when you're called to be a missionary, when you receive your little packet.
People don't like to hear that, Clancy.
Yep.
People don't like to hear. I like to hear that. I agree.
Right.
But
that's why I preface this with being that I was going to be really a little bold here.
Go ahead.
When you receive your call as a missionary, it says you're expected to serve for 18 to 24 months, depending on if you're an elder or a sister. You're labored to assign in this area. And so I wanted to focus on that, like you're expected or kind of estimated to serve for the 24 months. So that's like the core of the 12 apostles way of being like, things do happen, but like we're expecting you to be here for 24 months. So that means that a prophet of God with the quorum of the 12 apostles have sought revelation that you need to be on a mission and where you need to be. They then assign you to a mission, and then your mission president receives more revelation from God on who your companion should be. And so that means that your question never should be, should I be on a mission? Because that question's already been confirmed by you, because you put in your papers, God, the prophet, the 12 apostles, and your mission president. They all are like, yes, you need to be on a mission. Don't ask that question. That's a bad question. But the question that you should be asking is, how will God, or how will you, if you're speaking to God, like, how will you sustain me for my mission? Because you won't ask me to do something that I can't do.
That's a good point. Every able young man, what they say.
Yeah, able and worthy.
Well, now young men or young women, I guess. What else?
And then the other thing that I would really say to those that are considering serving a mission is like, give it what you have. Give it 110%. And that doesn't mean that you're going to go out every day and you're going to talk to everybody that you see and you're just going to be frantic and your companion will have to drag you into the apartment every day at night. But if you give the Lord your offering every night, he perfects imperfect offerings. That's what the Lord does. Like if you think of the Sermon on the Mount, again, to reference like more conference talks, the imperfect harvest, this is where I'm getting this idea from, is Vern P. Stanfill. He kind of gives this idea that the Lord specializes in perfecting imperfect offerings. So when somebody comes up to Jesus Christ and says, all that we have is 5 loaves and 2 fishes, or 5 loaves and 2 fishes to feed thousands of people, what does the Lord say? He doesn't say, sorry, I can't do that. That's not a perfect offering. He says, watch, I'm going to make enough food out of these 5 loaves and 2 fishes to feed everybody here. And that boy that brings him the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes is maybe the most astonished out of them all, right? He's like, all I've got is 5 loaves and 2 fishes, but I'll see what he can do with this. And so then when they have more than enough left over, that's what your experience can be like on a mission. So don't get caught up on you need to be a perfect missionary. Don't get caught up on you need to be exactly obedient. Like strive for those things and give what you have. Give everything that you can to God. And that imperfect offering will be multiplied until it's so much more than you ever could have imagined.
But you're like, were there any other times? I mean, you mentioned like 4 days into the field, you were like, dude, what am I doing? But were there any other like times in your mission where you were like, dude, like I've kind of had enough. Like I'm ready to be done.
Yeah.
I mean, how often, where, why? Speak to that a little bit.
So the first one, right, when I got into the field, I mentioned that one a little bit. And then another little war horse that I've been on for a little while. When I got to this area, not to rag on my companion, but he didn't really have an awesome attitude about the area that we were in. The missionary that was here before me, they had seen a lot of success as far as numbers go. And I'm fresh out of training, so I just need all the help that I can get. And so when he comes here and then it's just green, like just out of training, me still like kind of got that dazed look in my eyes as I walk around. And then we don't see that success in numbers. His attitude in this area just tanks. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm just as guilty as he is because my attitude also just went totally down the drain.
Right.
That's why people like you were such a blessing to me in my life at that time. But barring that, this war horse that I've been on for a really long time is that a bad attitude can make like even a good situation bad. So if I have a bad attitude, it's going to destroy everything. Like if I have a good attitude, bad situations, they actually won't be that bad. If I could have perfected that mindset, like while I was here, not only would it have been so much easier for me, but then the whole rest of my mission just would have been so much better.
Dude, my trainer, I mean, just to kind of respond to that really quick, my trainer was particularly good about that.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that we were the most obedient. I mean, he was a hard worker. I just couldn't ask for a better trainer because again, I don't think that we were the most perfect and obedient missionaries, but he was just so it was like right off the bat with that companion was where I learned to kind of just laugh at really crappy situations. I mean, he was so good at that, and that's what I need. I still feel that effect in my life today. Like I still have, it's like because that was the thing. It was like, and this, you might relate to this, you might not, but it seemed like things would go well at certain, seldom, but they would sometimes on your mission, things would be like, hey, you know what? We're kind of cooking here, and things were pretty good. And then it wasn't like, for me, there was just like so many times where it wasn't like, oh, things are kind of rough. It was just like, once we came off the high, once things weren't great anymore, they were awful. It was just like one thing after everything that could go wrong would all go wrong at the same time.
When it rains, it pours.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like we would go from stage stages of, I don't want to say stages of grief, but that's like the thing that's coming to my mind because it was like
just torment.
We start, you start out and you're just like, oh dude, like that sucks. Something happens and you're like, dang it, man. And then, and then another thing happens and you're just like, what the heck? Like how could this be? How could this get any worse? And you feel crap, like you feel so crappy about it. And then something else happens. And then you're like, oh my gosh, dude, I just found out we made a mistake and we're 1,000 miles over like whatever we're supposed to be. And it's just like icing on the cake. And at that point, like that was when my trainer was just like being like, well, these are our cards. Yeah. Like, and that's where it would go. It would be like sad, mad, angry. Like how could it get any worse, to just like laughable. It just became humorous. Yeah. That's how bad it was. And that's how it's almost like a skill or something but it's valuable to me now. Like that's so how I get through these terrible situations now is just like, you kind of just laugh at it and then just move on and keep going. And it's all, I feel like I get almost get flack for it because I've had people, I think, view that as like, I don't care.
Yeah. Or
like you should, people, I've been told several times that I should be more upset about this thing, or or if they don't directly say that to me, it's just very apparent that they're like you're not
it's like, why aren't you breaking
devastated? Right? Yeah. And I'm like, dude, it's just, what does that do?
So useless.
It doesn't do anything. And so, yeah, I mean, you mentioned that experience when things go down and your attitude goes down, but that was, if we weren't super obedient, we were faithful. We were just like, dude, let's just keep going. And we literally got poured on like in rain, like by rain, caught in a rainstorm, just all of our stuff completely soaked, and it was just a monsoon, like that happens out here. And we were just like, well, our stuff is soaked. Let's be soaked for a minute. And just like, and we talk to people and they're like, what are you guys doing out here?
Yeah, where are your coats at?
And we were just like, dude,
oh man, I forgot.
We're out here, man. Whoops. Look at us. Yeah. We're out here. So you want to have a discussion or not?
Yeah. I really saw that bless me, but another time where this was just like, I'm hanging on with like by a thread. After I left my 4th area, I'm going to my 5th area. I just spent 6 months in an area, 4 different transfers, 4 different companions, and I didn't help anybody join the church. So nobody got baptized while I was in that area. And I had a couple of really rough weeks in that area where I had like a companion that I am still like friends with, but we weren't like best buddies. We didn't see super eye to eye on like how we should do missionary work. It's not like we're fighting or anything, but it was just like, this is a little bit more uncomfortable for me to do missionary work, which I don't need in my life. But anyway, so I end on this high where I've worked for 6 months in this area. And in my last month, we hit like standard of excellence, which is like the bragging rights for missionaries. You achieved a certain
numbers
amount of
indicators.
Right. Numbers wise. Yeah. Again, me being motivated by the thing I said I hate, but here we are anyway. So
if it didn't work, then they wouldn't be there. If they didn't serve some sort of a purpose.
And so that was really awesome for me because it was like, I worked really hard in this area for 6 months trying to be faithful, and I saw something start to happen right at the end of this area. So I'm coming off of this high, and I'm being told that I'm not going to be a zone leader anymore. I'm asked to be a district leader, and I'm going to train a new missionary. And I'm getting whitewashing into an area that the missionaries that were there just had a fight with the bishop and the ward mission leader. So like this ward is at ends with the missionaries. And my mission president comes up to me at the time and is like, I need you to help the ward, basically. He's like, they're in a little bit of a bind right now. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, I just spent 6 months doing the same thing in a different ward. Like, why do I just keep getting shafted around trying to do this? But I was like, I've heard like pretty questionable things about these 2 people that the missionaries like had a fight with, but I've heard really good things about the area. So it's like, this area is going to be super awesome. And so as soon as I pick up my trainee, I'm just like, this area is so awesome. Like, do you see all these people in here? They're just going to be so cool. Like, these people are so awesome. And it's like week after week after week where our key indicators are terrible. Like, we're not finding anybody to teach. We're hardly having any lessons. And it's like, we're making some progress with the ward. So it's like, there's progress happening on that front. But after like week 3, I sit down with my trainee and I'm like, I honestly like don't know what to tell you. Like, this area should be doing so much better. I'm trying, like, I don't know what else I can do to help you. And that was really valuable because it helped me connect with my trainee, and also my trainee could open up to me. He was about some of the struggles that he was having, that he like was considering going home. And so when that, like after week 4, when that trainee does go home, it's like everything's crashing in around me. Like I just failed. My trainee's now going home. We've had almost nothing as far as like progressing people. The ward still like kind of likes us, kind of doesn't. I've only been there for like 4 weeks. I whitewashed in, so I don't know hardly anybody. And just like as everything's crashing in around me, I get like one of my favorite companions, just like one of my absolute best friends. And excuse me, at that moment, I saw that those 4 weeks of hard like work and effort that I put in, then I get another companion, and then I start to see where all like this faith is like really going to benefit me. So even if I had left, like, let's say alternate universe, and I had spent who knows how many weeks doing that same thing, I could have known that like after I left, like there was things that were being prepared in that area by my hard work. I got to stay luckily and see that. And then I stay with that companion for like 3 weeks, and we just build up more and more and more. And then I'm asked to train another new missionary. And so then we really do get to see like 2 people join the church and get baptized in this area. And the ward really likes the missionaries now. And so it's just like this culmination of me trying really hard and being faithful and having all these awesome things happen to me. But in those like first 4 weeks that I was in this area with that companion, it was like, I'm just struggling to get out the door. Like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do missionary work, but I'm counting the minutes until it's time to come home for lunch. And then I'll go out the door and I'm counting the minutes until it's time to go home for dinner. But like, even if I don't like it, I'm sacrificing and I'm showing, like trying to show God that I still love him, and I'm going to go out and do missionary work, even if I don't want to. And like, he'll totally bless me for that. Like, it'd be way better if I had a good attitude about this. And so me just trying to be like, the people here, they're super awesome. Like, that little blessing was there to just like hold me over and just keep me going.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, I guess my last thing is what I was mentioning before is I like this podcast to be a platform for people to talk to the world and just tell people, talk about what matters to you. And so tell me, I mean, because that's what that's why I don't have any like premeditated questions for people, because I feel like people are ready to talk and to share things that are important to them. You know, like I don't have to prep somebody to talk about what they want to talk about or what is important to them. That's what I believe anyway. But so basically, like, what do you want people to know about Clancy? What do you want Clancy to know about Clancy in 10 years from now? Like, yeah. What's on your mind right now? What do you want people to know? What do you want people to hear from you?
Mm-hmm. I actually want your thoughts on something. I'm going to share this idea that I've been really thinking about. This is kind of like, maybe this might be the culmination of like everything that I was taught in the last like 2 years. And who knows how doctrinally sound this actually is, but this is like the best way that I've been able to think about this.
If you're enjoying the Moxie Show, please like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel, or leave a rating and review on your favorite podcasting platform and share the show with someone. Also, if you really want to support the show and get this thing off the ground, consider signing up for my Patreon, where you can receive early access to episodes, exclusive episodes with my family and close friends, and more exclusive perks. If you're listening to this, you're helping make my dream a reality. So thank you.
Because I've really, in missionary work, you do really see that there's a lot of people missionaries specifically that struggle with like perfectionism, stuff like that, because it's really easy to get in this mindset that like,
Ooh, just scratched my mic. My bad.
you're good. It's really easy to get in this mindset that like, if I was a better missionary, then the area would be better. I'd get along better with my companion, X number of things. And so as I really contemplated and thought about this, again, this is building off of this idea that like the Lord perfects like imperfect offerings. I think one of the most important things that I've learned is that our efforts that we make as people is not to fill perfection, but our efforts that we make as people is to give to Jesus Christ, because there's no way, no earthly way that my efforts as I am now will allow me to return to live with God. I can't do that by myself. If I turn to Jesus Christ and I accept him in his gospel, then I can be made perfect through Jesus Christ and his atonement. But this thought, and what I want your thoughts on is like, is that what we're doing here? Like, do you really feel like that's what we're focusing on? Is it all based on, like it is, but is it all based on like Jesus Christ, and it's not like we have to worry about being perfect?
Like life?
In general, yeah. But also more specifically, I would think the gospel, like I see everything a little bit differently now being fresh off a mission. And so that's like missionaries are just really like, how do I be the best missionary? But I think that applies to every part of our life. It's like, how do I be the best father? Or how do I be the best husband? Or how do I be the best, whatever my career is?
And you're saying, and you're asking in that context, like, is that what it's all about?
Yeah. From your experience, you've got a little bit more experience here than I do. Like, how do you feel like that has affected your life? Has that played a role for you? Have you seen that? Like,
I just want to make sure I understand the question correctly. Like you said, because you talked a lot about these imperfect offerings. You offer what you have,
right?
And are you asking if that's like a true principle outside of the mission, that you're supposed to just give what you have to the Lord, or like what's the purpose of life? I mean,
yeah, I think to be honest, it's a poorly phrased question, but I want to know what your thoughts are on that idea.
Well, this is okay. So this is what just comes to mind based on my understanding of your question here, what you're getting at. What I heard was, I think it's the first time I heard it, I think was like from my little brother shortly after he got home, I think, from his mission. And he talked about how life is full of, you do stuff in your life, all sorts of stuff. Okay. From the time that you wake up in the morning to when you go to bed, like, what are you doing? You're making yourself breakfast. Maybe you're exercising. Maybe you're scrolling on your phone. Maybe you go to your job. You're working. What are you doing at your job? Do you do the same thing every day? Do you do different things every day? Do you interact with different people? You go home from your job. Maybe you've got a family, and maybe you're raising a family, and you want to do stuff with your kids. Maybe they got homework to do. Maybe you don't have kids, and you got your hobbies that you want to do, and you want to go, let's go play Magic. Let's go play video games. Let's go do whatever. And then maybe you're chilling, then you go to bed, and then you're doing the next thing the next day. You got 100 different things. And what I grew up, and I think what most people view, they look at it this way, is they look at all these, you can like list all of these things that you do in a day. And somewhere on the list is is, what am I doing for like my relationship with God? What am I doing for Jesus, essentially? And you're like, okay, so we take we have our list of things that we're doing. Let's block out and make some time for the gospel. Let's make some time to either read the scriptures, or let's make some time to, let's go to church on Sunday. Let's take 10 minutes and say our prayers in the morning and at night or whatever. So put simply, people look at there's 100 different ways, or there's 100 different things you do in a day. One of them is sharing the gospel. And what my brother said was, what it actually is just 100 different ways to share the gospel. Like literally every single thing that you do. And it sounds kind of like nutty when you hear it that way. Like you hear that and I feel like people are like, oh, you're one of those like crazy Jesus people. Like you're crazy about it.
Fanatic, right?
You're a Jesus guy. Like that's the thing. I've seen people in like my little, even in like the Brawl Stars community, I know people that I've seen people that like will make their gamer tag like Jesus is King. And or Team G, and I'm like, oh, like, and you group them in that, like, oh, they're like those Christian people, right. Like they're just super Christian.
They got like the bumper stickers and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, right? And they're like, oh, they're just big Jesus fanatics. But and see, that's the thing, is growing up in Utah, I feel like that's frowned upon, because that's kind of it kind of has like an evangelical connotation to it, that the culture of the church is not about, because we have the truth, and that's not how people with the truth behave. But I'm realizing, being out here, I'm realizing that's a good thing. Like in a lot of ways, these people are doing a better job at living the gospel and being Christ-like than people that have the truth and are part of the church, because even though they don't have the truths that we have, I have met more people out here whose entire lives truly revolve around Jesus. They taught, like, he's in their everyday conversations with people like, and I realized recently in my life that I'm like, dude, I've kind of frowned at that idea. Mm-hmm. I've always kind of like with pride, held with pride, like my identity is like the guy that believes in Jesus, and I'm all for, it's the most important thing to me. But I can be like the cool guy that doesn't, that I'm chill about it, that I'm not like, in your face about it and talking to people and trying to, come to church with me, even though you don't know me. Like I'm going to get to like be your friend first and like show you that I'm a normal guy before I start talking to you about Jesus. And now, like, I'm realizing, I'm like, dude, that should be, the way that I think it's best explained is like, what are other people saying about you? Because every time you interact with somebody, it's like, I feel like people know me, maybe not super personally, but they'll be like, oh yeah, I know Kevin because I play basketball with him. And I know Kevin, he goes to the same card shop I do. Oh yeah, I know, they hear about Kevin doing something on the news and they're like, oh, I know that guy. He was at my rec center. He goes to my gym. I talked to him or I know his brother or something. And I want to know what those people say about me, just on the surface level. Like what's the first thing that you would describe Kevin like? And I'm like, dude, I want that to be Jesus. I want that to be like, oh yeah, he's the kid that never shuts up about church.
Yeah.
He's the kid that is like weirdly like crazy about is about Jesus.
Do you want to test this?
And
what were some of the first things that I said about the Sirages?
They're awesome people. That's basically the only background that I got.
he's a big magic fanatic.
No, it was actually that they were awesome people. They're a couple that served in St. Louis, and they loved their mission so much that they came back to St. Louis.
We learn, yeah, well,
So that is, as me being a complete stranger to you, that is the understanding that I have.
I didn't even, yeah, I guess that's a legit test. Yeah, we did just meet. So, but yeah, that's what I, because I don't think that was, I don't think that was the case before.
Yeah.
For the majority of my life, even after serving a mission, you just go back to like, okay, you divide everything up again. It's like, okay, I got to focus on my school, and then I got to focus on my work, and then I got to focus on my church calling and my church. And it's all like they're divided into these different things. And that was the point that my brother made, was like, it's all the same thing. At least it all should be. And that's the thing. It's like, even at your job, at the natural belief is you go to your work to make money. You go to your work to provide for your family. And it's like, no, dude, because see, why are you providing for your family? It's just to raise up seed unto the Lord. It's just to increase the Lord's dominion. And it's like everything, if you're really thinking celestial, if you're really looking at it from the grand scheme of things, like every single thing that you do, don't do it. If you don't have, even when I'm playing video games, it's like, who am I playing? Why am I playing a video game right now? And I do think that there's value in, like, even though the game itself seems pointless and stupid, I'm creating experiences and bonds with people that are not useless. We're creating this relationship through something that is useless, but the relationship and the experience, I'll die on that hill. I don't think
you'll catch me right up there with you.
Cause that's what that's what, especially the generation, generations before mine are like, dude, video games are a complete waste of time. That's their whole thing, is like, video games are a waste of time. And I'm like, the video game itself might be, but no, dude, like I some of the strongest relationships and best experiences of my life have been created through video games. And if people can get to know me, if somebody can get to know you through a video game, that automatically means that you can have an influence, that you can share the gospel and lead by example, even through something as stupid as a video game. And so that's the thing, is like, what are you doing it for? What are you, everything that you do should revolve around, that's the thing, is not just Jesus, but sharing the gospel. Yeah. That's what, at the end of it, because that's the ultimate goal for Christ, is like, what does he want us to do? If you can trace everything that the Lord asks us to do all the way back to sharing it. If you're doing this, if you start doing this, if you repent, oh, great for you. That's great that you made that change in your life. Now go help somebody else do it. Literally everything. You got a family, you raised a family, you got kids that you love, go help somebody else do it. That it'll come back to that every single time. Go help somebody else do it. Go share it with somebody else. So unless every single thing, I think, like, that's what I mean, is in answer to your question, try to circle all the way back. We're never going to do anything perfectly, and we're never going to use our time as efficiently in that regard as possible. But there is definitely a clear, I'm a big believer that you can get a pretty clear idea of who actually strives to do that and people that are casual about it. I think there's a night and day difference between people that are casual about sharing the gospel and living their whole life for Christ, which is what all Christians are asked to do, and then people that are, people that are casual about that and people that understand it and take it seriously and are literally disciples of Christ. You hear people like I hear or you read in video games or Dungeons and Dragons, like the role of a disciple.
Yeah.
And they've, like, I always, what do you picture when you picture the word disciple? They've all got the hoods on and they're,
It's like a monk.
yeah, they're all walking around, and they're like weird, devoted. And I'm like, dude,
Fanatic, just
that's
isolated.
what we are supposed to be, though. Like that is what we're supposed to be. Because you look at that and you're like, oh, well, disciple of Christ is different. Like, we're just like
I can be a little
happy-go-lucky people that are, and I'm like, yeah, but also like we're strict, dude. Like if you're serious about the gospel, then you're asked to be a disciple, complete 100 devotion to Jesus Christ. And that is something that, again, just like the missionary thing that I mentioned before, is like, I feel like everybody you go to will agree with that. And they'll tell you like, oh yeah, dude, that's what it's all about. That's what Christian is all about. And I'm like, it is, but I don't feel like people treat it that way. I don't think it's being treated that way. I don't think that the majority of people are really rendering the results that would support that they actually understand and believe that.
I think I now know why I asked that question. I also know why it was so vague. It's because I didn't know why I was asking it. And it's funny because it's something that I was taught literally weeks ago. Elder Jimenez came to tour our mission, and he gave a talk last conference or the conference before, and he talked about how his love for Jesus Christ was his why. And so his example, right, that he gives is like, he walks up to one of the elders and asks, "Elder, why am I wearing this tie?" And the elder, being pretty quick, was like, "Because you love Jesus Christ." And he was like, "That's exactly right. I don't wear this tie because I'm a 70. I don't wear this tie because I think it looks nice. I don't wear this tie because my wife picked it out for me. I wear this tie because I love Jesus Christ." And so I think where I had missed the mark with my question wasn't like, this is my offering that I give towards Jesus Christ and this is not my offering, but it's like I live my life so that Jesus Christ perfects me. I'm not picking and choosing what my offering is. I'm not going to say this is my best. It's like I need to be living my life every second like it's something that I want Jesus Christ to turn into perfection. Because if I have my offerings and then I have the things that I don't offer, I'm always going to keep something behind my back that's like, hey, I don't want to give that up. But as soon as I try to live my life, like everything is an opportunity for me to be perfected and everything's an opportunity for me to share the gospel of Jesus Christ, then it really is. And then the gospel enters into every part of our lives. And it's not just I'm happy-go-lucky when people are around, but when I'm at home, then it's like I'm suffering. But then it's like every person that I talk to, I have to tell them about this because it's changed who I am. And that's, I think, part of the reason that missionaries can be so potent and so powerful is because you take them out of this situation where they're feeling trapped or they're feeling unfulfilled, and you give them the best motivation that there is. And that's like the pure love of Jesus Christ. Like God blesses his missionaries with charity. He has to. There's no way that me just being this random farm boy from Montana could come to a big city and just immediately start loving people. That's not going to happen by myself. But I think when the Lord blesses us with charity, then we start to be motivated by other people. And then I'm so excited to share this because it changed my life. And because it changed my life, then now I need to share it with other people. And that's why I kept like out on my mission for the whole time. Because I had opportunities to go home. Everybody does. And there's going to be reasons or times that you just want to throw in the towel and quit. But if I love Jesus Christ and this has changed my life, then I need to tell you about it.
Yeah, I like that example about wearing a tie because people hear that and they're like, that's a silly, like that's an extreme, technically sure, like that's fun, but it's like, no, it's as silly as it sounds. Like it's a real thing, because that was an experiment I had a buddy do with me like years ago was, I think he called it like the 5 whys, is like, as soon as, because it sounds silly, but as soon as, all it takes is asking yourself why, not even just like 5 times. And you'll eventually get to matters that are not so silly anymore. Because like what I mean is if I come up to somebody and I'm like, yeah, I'm wearing this tie for Jesus. I'm wearing this tie because I love the Lord. And they're like, okay, but why are you wearing a tie?
Like, why?
I mean, this is a very trivial thing. Like, why are you actually wearing that tie? And I go, because I want to look nice. Because it's, it's a fashion, like the way that fashion is in this day and age, like that's what looks nice. And I want to look nice.
Those skinny flower ties will get you.
Yeah. Like that's where we're at as a society, is that's what looks nice. I want to look nice. Well, why do you want to look nice? Well, because I want to, that already becomes a more,
I want to be respectful to the Lord. I'm going into his house, right?
Existential question. Yeah. I want to, people can jump straight to that even and be like, well, I want to look presentable for the Lord. I want to put effort into my appearance for the Lord. I think that's something important to me. Or I just want to gain the confidence of the people that I'm talking to, or there's a million reasons why you'd want to look nice or wear a tie.
Yeah.
And then you ask, well, okay, why do you want the confidence from the people that you're talking to? Because it's important matter. Like, and eventually you get back to, because I love Jesus Christ. And so through the dots, you connect the dots, and you are, as silly as it sounded before, when you look at it that way, you're truly wearing your tie because you love Jesus Christ at the end of the day. And that's what I mean, is like that should be everything. You should be able to trace even your little stupid micro decisions all the way back to Jesus Christ. And if you can't, don't do it. That's what being a disciple really looks like. Because if you are, then you're 99%.
Yeah.
In it, or 98%. And Jesus is like, I need 100. Like, nobody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be successful in that, but that is what I'm asking for. And I'm not going to excuse myself.
Even as a side note here too, it's so much easier to keep the commandments 100% of the time than it is 99% of the time. Because if you're like, well, this one time I'm not, then it's like every time you're presented with an opportunity to not keep the commandments, what do you do?
Then
well, it's my 1% that I don't
then
have to keep the commandments.
Then you become a 99% guy rather than a 100%.
Then it's 99% of the time you don't keep the commandments, but when people are watching, then you do, right? And it's like such a slippery slope.
Right. Well, do we miss anything?
I don't know, I've kind of just yapped your ear off for I don't know how long it's been, but over an hour.
Anything else just bursting out of your chest that you, again, this is for Clancy in 10 years. This is for, I don't know, at least for me, I wanted to do this podcast largely for that, just to, the people that I've grown up with or that know me, or even people that don't know me so well, that you think about people that you went to school with or something, and you're like, I wonder how that person's doing, or who that person turned out to be or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, if I could just do a podcast and just have it there. If anybody ever thinks about Kevin Siraj and they're like, where's that kid at? I'll be like, dude, listen to this podcast. You'll find out. And that's what it's like a journal. So if there's, I don't, if I pressure you into an answer, then it's going to come out crap, but
you're good. Really I just couldn't be thankful enough for all of the things that happened to me on my mission. And I was talking to somebody probably a little over a week ago. I'm still a missionary at this point, and they basically came up to me and they were like, I don't get it. This is too unfair. God blesses me way too much for everything that I'm doing. And I paused for a second there, and I was like, he's kind of right. This is so unfair. And it was really powerful for me and for the Spirit to be able to teach me that's like, God doesn't care about how fair it is. He loves his children. He's not going to punish us, but he's not going to spoil us either. And it's because of the love that God has for me and for every person that like we're blessed so unfairly. And so when we look at the gospel of Jesus Christ and we're like, I just can't comprehend like an infinite atonement. I can't comprehend how Jesus Christ could suffer for every possible sin and affliction and temptation. It's like, well, I could be right in the same boat as Nephi, right? I don't know all things, but I know that God loves his children. And so like, that's such a powerful statement for me to reflect on and be like, God blessed me with so many cool experiences on my mission, not because I was a successful missionary, not because I went out every day at 10 o'clock, and not because I did all these things, not because I helped these many people get baptized, but ultimately at the end of the day, God blessed me with so much because he loves me. And so when we look at our lives, that's what it boils down to, is like God is just begging and pleading and itching for opportunities to bless us. That's why like the commandments can be so powerful. They're like divine if-then statements. If you keep this, like God's already pre-sending a blessing, basically.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we never have to feel like God is withholding these things from us, because he's not punishing us, but he, like I said, he doesn't want to spoil us either. And so God loves us so much that he can't leave us in this imperfect fallen state that we're in. And so that gives me so much peace and comfort to then go into the next stage of my life and know that I'm in the hands of like the master potter that's willing to put me through these uncomfortable situations and stretch me and push me and pull me these ways, so that at the end of the day, like I'll become this like person that God crafted me to be. And that'll be better than anything I could have ever achieved on my own. I had people ask me why I was still a missionary. And I've explained a couple of reasons to why I wanted to, or why I stayed out being a missionary here. But one of my last reasons, it's a little bit more of like a personal reason to me, is because God made more out of me in those 2 years than anything I ever could have done in those 2 years by myself. And so it's yes, because I love Jesus Christ. Yes, because the Book of Mormon is true and Joseph Smith was a prophet. Yes, because I had awesome companions and I came to like the best area, right? I came to the best mission in the whole world. But my selfish reason for why I stayed out on my mission is because God transformed me and he changed me into a better person. And I wouldn't have been able to do that by myself. And we're not here on earth just for us to do whatever we want willy-nilly for a little while, and then we die, and then we go back, and it's just like the stats that we see after we play some video game. Like, that's not the point. Spread. Right. Yeah. It's not just going to be like, well, you had X number of righteous points, so you get to go into heaven.
Right.
It's like, did I change into a point where I'd even want to be with God? Did he work with me and mold me and turn me into an instrument?
Heaven's just existing, and it's like, it's just a matter of whether we're on board with it or not.
Yeah.
Is that where we want to be, or is it not?
And so again, I'd like to answer more questions like, why do I feel like I was a successful missionary? It's because that's a desire that I have now. Is like, that's where I want to be. And so now when I'm faced with decisions, even though I won't be perfect and I won't be able to do everything right, if I have that desire and I can focus on my love for Jesus Christ and him as my savior, then that goal becomes achievable. And that's all through him. That's all through his sacrifice. And I'm just excited to see how, as I follow Jesus Christ and I live his gospel, that the Lord will shape me even more. I've already got 2 years where I was able to really dedicate my time to him. And I know it won't be as fast as I go home, but I can try to make it be. Because if everything that I do is an offering to the Lord to try to be perfect, and everything is an offering to try and share the gospel, maybe it will be faster. I guess I'll have to find out.
And you will. Well, I appreciate your remarks. Thanks for doing this. This was super unexpected.
Yeah. I'm just hoping it was helpful, right? I just came on here and yapped, and then
yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about. That's all it is, really. So
yeah, that's very fair.
That's a podcast. Cool. Well, we'll end it there.